Hey, what's going on, guys? And welcome back to another episode of We've Seen It Podcast, episode number 28 this time, I believe. My name's Cam.
And I'm Jimmy.
And so before we get into the episode again today, we're going to take a little bit of an intro to talk. As always, if you do not want to hear us talk or don't want to hear our intro, then you can skip ahead with the timestamps. If you don't want to hear us talk, you're probably in the wrong place.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a little bit of a casual chat here. Our 100 subscriber special came out finally.
Yeah, it took a while, but it's
we did officially also today. I think last night actually hit 400 subs, which is really, really cool. But the 100 subscriber special came out, so if you haven't seen that, maybe go click on it. There's no timestamps or anything there to any of the questions. I was debating it, but I kind of like just people just go in and listen to it, go in and watch it.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. You kind of don't want to know what questions are going to be asked. You just kind of want to find.
Yeah, I was debating writing each question with the timestamp in there, but I was like, you know what? Then so people are just going to go click in one question. And it's not like the weekly anime thing where it makes sense if you only follow one or two anime to go watch it. I was like, if you want to know about us, you got to know everything about us. But yeah, so the video's out. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. It was really fun to record. It's honestly, I think, like the first video that a lot of our friends have actually watched, because since many of our friends do not follow the weekly anime, they don't really watch the podcast. It's kind of irrelevant to them. But this is actually just information about us, and even some of our friends have been like, "Hey, I've actually learned things about you that I didn't know from this podcast."
Yeah, that was actually really weird to hear because I didn't think I opened up that much. But I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, so obviously we've mentioned this before, and I think one of the last weeks in the pinned question we asked, like, if there's other content you want to see from us, and maybe one day when we hit like the 1,000 subs, we'll be able to do this like twice a week and do one covering weekly anime and one just talking about general anime topics. Which would be kind of cool. That was like early on, that was kind of our plans, but we didn't realize how long it would actually take us each time to talk about all the anime.
Yeah.
Because that was before all these 6 seasons started.
Yeah, no, that was when we had like maybe 3 or 4 anime to talk about, and now we have like just a list of prime stuff to discuss. So.
Yeah, so let's hope that stays like that. Let's hope we keep up on having great anime seasons. But yeah, so maybe at one point if we get to like 1,000 subs, we might start doing it twice a week and do a little bit more casual one. Obviously, if you want that, let us know down below. As always, if you're watching this, consider subscribing, all that kind of stuff. Always helps. Leave a comment about whatever anime you're watching or theories or anything like that. Obviously, today's a semi-big episode because we have most of these shows on this list was their season finale or even series finale for, I think, probably just one of them. Yes, just one of them. Yeah, just one of them had a series finale, which we'll get into, obviously. But yeah, I think the only thing next week that's coming out is we have the Kumodesu episode still, because that's continuing right through. And then, of course, Horimiya has its season finale next week because it's actually a 13-episode anime.
It is, yeah.
So I think the plan is, if there are actually only those two things, if no new anime has started by then, we'll just talk about those and either do a topic or we'll discuss what anime we're going to watch for the spring. Ideally, we'd like to do the spring, synopsis episode a little bit earlier so people have maybe 2 weeks to vote before the stuff comes out, like last time. So when we put that out, we're going to try and maybe put that out this week. If we can't get it done, because obviously it's Easter weekend, so it's a big week. But if we can't get it done, then next week we'll probably just be talking about Kumodesu, Horimiya, and then do that where we go through all the synopses and then get people to vote from all the subreddits. So if you watch that, make sure you vote. It's pretty important because we want to be watching things that not only we enjoy, but that all the viewers enjoy too. That way, like when we look back now and we see like the Kumodesu is like a great example, for instance. Yeah. The Reddit has allowed us in. They allow us to post. They're not banning us. The mod, the No Ground mod, he's popping into our channel, commenting. He's posted some stuff in their Discord before too. Yeah. So stuff like that's really awesome. And that was from just posting when we did our synopsis of Kumodesu into the subreddit. And then a lot of people there came over just to vote for it, right? So
yeah, it was crazy the amount of response we got for that. So I'm really hoping we can get something like that again this season.
Yeah, obviously this season we still have Kumodesu, so we're going to have all those people still. But if we can get a second anime like that where people are all flooding in, I'm a little nervous to post in the My Hero subreddit.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird one.
I feel like that's got to be probably the biggest subreddit out of maybe other than Attack on Titan, or honestly, it's probably still bigger than Attack on Titan in the subreddit than anyone we've posted before. Yeah. So I'm assuming to get a little bit more hate in there too, kind of mixed in. I don't mind a little hate every now and then.
And who cares?
Hate's just a different form of attention, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when we put that episode, just make sure you vote. It just helps a lot, not only for the comment and the algorithm, but then that way we can make like a really refined list. Because having a really good list, obviously, when we just discussed this weekly anime, is a pretty big part. The better list we have, more viewers we're going to get, all that kind of stuff. More comments if people are actually interested in the anime. So yeah, you got any final thoughts before we actually get into the weekly anime?
I think that was everything other than just taking a look at what we got for next season. But
Yeah, that's gonna be if you didn't watch the one from last season because we had obviously a lower audience. We literally went to the animechart.me, I think is the website.
I think it was, yeah. It just gave us a big list of everything that was dropping. We just read off the synopsises. And
Yeah, it gives you like it's coming out in 29 days, whatever. It gives us the synopsis. Some of them are like hilariously bad. Like some of the synopses are actually done by the studio that does the anime, and some are not. They're done by someone on the website. So, like for instance, like Mushoku Tensei, which turned out to be one of the surprise hits of this season. When we first read that synopsis, we were just roasting it the entire time, not knowing that it's actually good. And then people came in the comments being like, "No, the synopsis sounds stupid, but this is like the OG." So I'm really hoping we get a couple of those again.
Because what did it read off as? It was just like perverted man.
Yeah,
dies,
perverted
comes back
old
as a young
man
child.
gets hit by a truck and gets reincarnated into another world as a child, and I'm like, oh god, like another one of these. I thought it was going to be, in another world with my smartphone, wherever it is.
Yeah, that's kind of the impression you got from the synopsis. Then we actually watched. It's like, okay, they did not do this justice.
So just real quick, obviously we'll get into this more with that episode. Is there one show right now that you're thinking you're looking forward to the most from next season?
I'd have to double check what's coming out next season, what's coming out the season after that, because there's a few shows I was really pumped for.
My big one right now, I don't even remember the name, but it's the guy who did Silent Voice. And it's the anime about the kid and the wolf traveling across North America. That looks like a
big one, yeah.
I don't remember the name right now. Someone will remind me in the comments, but that looks just fantastic. I think A Silent Voice I liked more than Your Name when it came to animated movies.
Just looking at that, it reminds me kind of Kino's Journey a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
plus we're in North America. Most anime takes place in Japan.
Yeah.
As much as every single weeb in the world loves Japan, it's kind of cool sometimes seeing like your own place in an anime.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why some shows like D. Gray Man, Baccano, ones that take place outside of Japan tend to do really well.
They stand out a lot. Like even if like they're not always like the best anime, something about the setting always stands out because you're like, wait a minute, this isn't like cherry blossom season at a high school.
Yeah,
like this is different. So
yeah, like I think the main reason I remember Baccano is because it was gangster era, like New York. So it's like, okay.
They also had like really crazy good dub too. Like I find a lot of shows where they take place somewhere that isn't Japan, I feel like they work harder on getting a good dub.
Yeah, I think it's easier to get into the mindset, right? So
yeah, but that's the big thing I'm looking forward to. Obviously, when we come to that episode, we'll go into more detail when we read the synopsis, and then you can show up and let us know what are going to be the bangers of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, without any further ado, we're gonna get into today's actual episode where we discuss the anime. And as always, sadly for the last time for a little while, because it's actually one of the very few shows that hasn't actually got an official announcement for season 3, is ReZero.
Yeah. Episode name is Offbeat Steps Under the Moonlight.
Okay. So yeah, like I mentioned, many of these shows actually on this list, as soon as they finish, they already got announced for another season. Yeah. I think that Quintessential Quintuplets immediately got announced for season 3. Obviously, we heard more about Attack on Titan, which we'll talk about later. There was something else that got announced for another season. It's not on this list. I just can't remember what it is right now. I don't. Dr. Stone.
That's it.
Dr. Stone got announced for another season.
Yeah, they got the trailer leading into the world travel arc.
Yeah. So some of the big ones though that I'm actually kind of surprised about is we didn't get another season announcement for Jujutsu yet.
I think Jujutsu, they want to get the series get a little further ahead. It's just kind of new shonen attitude.
Yeah, obviously, I think there's no doubt in our minds that they're going to get another season.
Oh God, no. Yeah, they're going to get another season.
But yeah, ReZero has not been announced for another season yet. I'm pretty confident they will also get another season. But yeah, no announcements yet. Hopefully, it does not take as long as the gap between season 1 and season 2.
Because we were like, what, 3-4 years between?
Yeah, it was a long time. I had to completely rewatch. I think I rewatched it 2 separate times in that time. Like the last one right before the show came out, like season 2, I watched the director's cut.
Right.
But yeah, so this episode number 50, finale. What'd you think? As far as the finale goes, we obviously had discussions about the pacing and how this season would end up when you look back on it as like a whole instead of just episode by episode. So
overall,
because last week we left off with them popping up. So it's starting with like a bunny fight. It's a big portion of it. And then a little bit of resolution.
We got to see a little bit of teamwork between Subaru, Beatrice, and Amelia. Mm-hmm. They managed to resolve the problem kind of because Beatrice just kind of banished the bunnies. They didn't actually deal with them. Yeah,
but I think that almost I don't know if this is actually how it's going to work, but when they show as soon as they get like banished like their own little area, they start eating each other.
Yeah,
I think because like they're just going to constantly eat things. I think that maybe the plan is that they will actually destroy themselves.
I mean, hopefully, yeah.
But maybe there's just that one bunny left at the end who's just I don't know because they just infinitely spawn. But I guess being banished to like another plane or whatever the hell it is, that's good enough.
Yeah, except for it kind of leaves the whole Rem like, hey, we have to kill these things to bring her back. Kind of in the air.
I feel like they're just gonna be like, oh, that was good enough.
Yeah, they ate themselves. Good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest question I have to ask is that they didn't actually leave with any type of plot hook or like a cliffhanger.
No, but once again, they didn't do that in the original either until there was the director's cut.
That is true.
So that's not that surprising to me. One thing that I kind of question, a lot of people said, like last week we came in and we were very confused about the Ryuzu stuff.
Right.
And a lot of people in the comments are like, oh yeah, you're actually supposed to be confused, but the next episode they'll explain it. I'm not so sure they did.
They basically just said like, yeah, she had to sacrifice herself to undo the barrier.
Yeah. I thought that when people were like explaining, oh no, next episode they'll tell you, I thought there was going to be more to it. Like I thought there was going to be something else, because that's what we just would have guessed, right? Like, oh yeah, she just has to sacrifice herself for a barrier. We don't really understand the reason or the science behind it, but sure.
I mean, yeah, but
this episode they did completely confirm that Roswell is just the same guy.
Yeah, as he's been transcribing his soul into a new vessel.
Yeah, switching over his soul and that kind of stuff. Which, like, is it still that they actually have to have a baby in the? They didn't answer that question. Is there another human that they have to like make and then do that, or is he?
I don't know, because he made it sound like he properly made a vessel for this specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is more of like a cloning homunculus situation.
Maybe they did also finally show like echidna the whole face, and there was nothing special about it, which just confuses the fuck out of me.
I'm gonna say it's them. It was them being deferential. It was them not willing to look her in the eye.
I guess, yeah. It's more like a, I don't know, like an emotional decision they went with, like for directing, instead of typically in anything, if you don't show a character's face
There's usually
to the
a reason
audience,
that-
it's because it's probably someone you're gonna know, right? That's the standard thing. So that was the guess. I thought it was gonna be a twist, but instead it was really just more of a I don't know, like a plot, kind of like a emotional plot device.
Yeah.
Being like, if these characters aren't like looking her in the eyes or in the face, then we're not either as like the audience. There was a couple other big things, obviously, after they beat the bunnies. So they beat the bunnies using the combined strength of mainly Subaru and Beatrice. Mainly Beatrice.
I was gonna say, what did Subaru actually do other than just say the spell over and over again?
Yeah, he like ran around like trapping them in like a cool little
he was
thing.
Just bait, just carrying her with him.
So that was kind of cool. But after that, like a lot of it then takes place at like the party, right?
Yeah.
So Amelia finally like accepts Subaru as like her like official knight, like all the other what are they called, like candidates?
Yeah, the royal selection candidates.
Yeah, all the other ones have. He's finally accepted as like her knight. You get a nice little party. He's got a cool outfit. Do you think that's going to be a standard outfit? Are you hoping? Because it's kind of dope.
I mean, I would like it. It's probably not. He's going to go back to the tracksuit, but
probably. But so he gets officially knighted, having a good time at the party. You get a little bit of Garfield, a little bit of Roswell. We see kind of what we were expecting, because Subaru did mention that he wants when they win this. It's not like they're going to be endlessly mad at Roswell, try and kill him. The bet was basically that now you have to serve Amelia with like everything you have.
Yeah, well, they resolved that before the party.
Yeah, there was like
they had like a meeting in like an abandoned church, and they basically just beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, each one of them got like a really sick hit on him. They were all talking about how they don't trust him, but then kind of Amelia both kind of came forward being like, it's fine kind of thing.
Yeah, she's just like, if he says sorry, we're cool.
Yeah, and then Roswell also like shows the pact, right? He basically shows it being like, if I do not follow this, he's like, I am done for. So it's like a forced kind of thing. And then Subaru's like, oh wait, so if I would have fucked up, the same thing would have happened to me. And he's like, oh yeah. So it's a good thing that Subaru didn't fuck up.
Yeah, my big question is like, would that follow through like Return by Death?
I don't know. That's what I was wondering too. But obviously, it's not like Roswell's going to explain that, because no one really knows, even though Roswell probably is a good clue at this point. Obviously, Ram didn't die. We were kind of expecting that going off the last episode. We still don't really have any more information on Puck. After everything was happening, he used his energy. He went back into the crystal. They mentioned this, that he's probably not going to come out for a while, because he's got like regained his strength after all that fight.
Right.
And yeah, they basically they solved that right there, where Roswell says he's sorry. They're not really forgiving him, but they're kind of like forgetting for now, because he's still needed to help like Amelia become the queen and all that. Then they go to the party. Subaru has another chat with Roswell while he's there.
Yeah, it's Roswell just comes right up and says like, I'm not giving up. I'm just going to be working with you.
Yeah. There's also like there's a couple chats at that party. Obviously Subaru and Amelia outside on like the balcony or like that. It's a relatively big chat.
Yeah.
She's being like, she's acknowledging the fact that he said like, I love you to her, but she's not ready to respond. Which is, I guess, pretty standard, because she doesn't say it back.
I mean, no, but that's like the entire series at this point is her not saying it back to him. So
yeah, I guess. Obviously at 1.2 we do see Ram, taking care of Rem.
Yeah.
So she must at least like look at her and be like, oh, this must be my sister, right? Like
there must be some connection.
we have
here.
a family resemblance.
Yeah, she's also a demon. Like, I'm supposed to be the only one left, so
Yeah, I don't like they really. I was expecting them to lead more into like the REM solution at the end, like Subaru being like, "Oh, now we just have to go get that snake or something." Like, kind of giving us a little bit of plot about what the third one could be about.
I mean that's what the director's cut's gonna be.
Yeah, probably. Because then at the same time, like, when was the last time we saw Subaru die?
Like 7, 8 episodes ago.
A while ago. Obviously,
Yeah.
we had a very strong feeling that he was not going to be doing any return by deaths because just too much shit has been established.
Yeah.
Like, too much work has been done. As much as it'd be, kind of interesting if he did, like how he'd resolve that. We've discussed that in previous episodes. It would just be impossible to get like the same result again.
Oh yeah.
So like the question is like, it's been so long. That's like kind of the plot of the show. Really, at the end, I was expecting him to like die again or something happens, but then his reset point's different.
Yeah, I honestly thought like something would happen at the party. He would die there and then just like restart like at the start of the party.
Yeah, but I guess as people mentioned before, as the show goes on, there's a lot less deaths and reset points and stuff like that, especially as Subaru becomes less useless. Because obviously in season 1, he just dies all the time, but now he's actually he's almost like fighting things without dying the first time. And it's like in like Dark Souls, when you walk up to a boss and you beat it on the first try, you feel like a god. Because normally it's like, oh, I got to fight this boss 8 or 9 times to learn all of its moves. Yeah. So I don't know. It's pretty good. As far as the finale goes, I feel like it was kind of lackluster. As I said, there was no like big hooks or plot twists yet. There was no dying. Nothing really got resolved. Like, Rem's still unconscious. Subaru still loves Amelia, who technically at this point doesn't love him back, at least like that.
Yeah. All they've done is they've really established that the sanctuary's done, which was introduced in this same arc. So
yeah, that's what I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's good. But all the characters we cared about could basically like leave the sanctuary. I guess other than Amelia couldn't leave once she went in. But Garfield was able to leave whenever he wanted. Frederica was able to go and leave. Roswell could leave. Like every character other than these like normal villagers that we don't give a shit about, other than Amelia, could just kind of go in and go out.
Yeah.
So it didn't really seem that important. But I don't know. It was still a good season. I feel like if I when I rewatch the director's cut before the next season comes out, hopefully there is one with another cool hook.
Yeah, they might just do like an OVA or like a one-off. And
yeah, I mean they did the special for ReZero, right? Like as I said too, with the success of Demon Slayer, who knows? Maybe they'll have a movie in between. It wouldn't be that surprising.
I mean, one of the shows on our list actually did get a movie announcement.
That's true. It did. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But yeah, I mean, that would be either another OVA, kind of like they did before. A movie would be kind of cool. But, the question with movies are always like, do you make the movie necessary to see to continue on the plot? That's something that Demon Slayer kind of did. I'm sure, as we'll see when we actually watch the movie, but because it directly leaves off the anime.
Yeah, Demon Slayer very much did. They just took a chunk of the plot and put it.
But when you look at
movie.
stuff like obviously Pokemon, My Hero Academia, even you can continue watching the show without ever seeing those movies because they always kind of wrap up inside the movie.
Yeah, and even then, the canon in the time frame of those movies is always kind of
it's super ambiguous. Yeah, it's like that could be whenever. It's like, okay, Ash has this Pokemon, but he doesn't have this one yet, so it must take place in between these 30 episodes of the show. But he hasn't met this character. Like it never makes any sense, and that's just kind of what they do.
Yeah, like they're always like self-contained logic. So
yeah, so like I don't think they would go the movie route. I think once again, since the success of the first season kind of did it, they'll probably come with an OVA that won't have much relevance to the story. Just kind of be like a holiday special or something like that.
Yeah.
Like they did the snowy one before.
Yeah, maybe put some sort of hook in there to lead into the third season.
Yeah, or just director's cut again. You get the 45-minute episodes, so there'll be like 12 of them, and then just toss a hook in at the end. But obviously, when ReZero season 3 comes out, we're gonna be watching it. I still think I think in retrospect, I liked season 1 more right now, but I've also seen season 1 more, and I feel like there's always that really good part about like introducing these characters and stuff like that.
Oh god, yeah.
So it kind of stands out a little bit more. But I don't know. I'm pretty excited still for when season 3 does come out. I hope it gets officially announced sometime soon.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take too long to jump on this because this was a big season. Like even with the gap in the middle, I don't think it lost a lot of steam.
I always feel so bad for everything right now because like no one's talking about ReZero. No one's talking about even like things like Kumo Desu. Obviously, we see a lot of people talking about it because of the community. All because Attack on Titan came out at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? The Twitter and all that kind of stuff, with like just like how insane it's been based off that, whether it's positive or negative feedback for Attack on Titan, has kind of just been overshadowing everything.
Yeah, which I actually kind of find it funny that such an amazing season came out at the same time. You feel like a lot of studios would like take their big stuff and like wait until the season after Attack on Titan.
Yeah, you'd think that's something they do with like movies every now and then, right?
Yeah.
Like when people would find it that Marvel movie's coming out this weekend, let's push ours 2 weekends like forward.
Yeah.
Just to try and get better day one box office sales. But I guess with anime, it's probably a lot more planning and, setting the
true.
specific date and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just crazy that like all these crazy, like I haven't heard anything about Doctor Stone season 2. And everyone was so hyped when Doctor Stone season 1 came out, but I haven't heard anyone talk about it because it's always just talking about either Attack on Titan, some bad shit about Promised Neverland, or like there's a few things that people are speaking about, like through like social media.
Oh yeah.
But I'm never hearing about Doctor Stone, like barely hearing about ReZero, like some of these shows. When they came out, they were like the talk of the town.
I've heard very little about Doctor Stone this season. I've heard very little about shows like Log Horizon.
Like even like Reincarnated as a Slime, which is having like a pretty huge season right now.
Yeah.
The amount of people talking about it online though, barely any.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy. But either way, it was a good finale. It kind of just had more of an emotional wrap up. There wasn't any big cliffhangers or anything like that. But we can look forward to that. Hopefully if they come with a director's cut or an OVA. So, if you're a fan of ReZero, let us know what you thought about the finale down below. Let us know what you think about season 3. If it's going to be, going after that snake to get her memories back. If it's going to be more focused on the actual royal selection.
Yeah, or we might just get them trying to hunt down the apostles because they keep screwing shit up. So
that's true. I wouldn't be surprised if this season took more, like the next one was more about the royal selection. Yeah, because that's been in both of them, like very little. And I feel
that
like
was the main plot point from the first season.
And it's kind of what drove a lot of the season of this one, especially at the end, right? Trying to get Roswell back on their side. So now they have like their little team. Yeah, they got Team Subaru all around Emilia as like a fun little thing to now help with the royal selection.
Yeah, because if you think about it, getting everyone out of the sanctuary was technically tied to the royal selection,
and it was also like tied to like Emilia's character arc because. Even when we first get introduced to her, and most of season 1 and season 2, even up to a certain point, she's kind of weak.
Yeah.
Like, the villagers, they don't trust her because she's like a half elf and all this kind of stuff. A lot of regular people don't trust her because she apparently has a resemblance to the one witch.
Yeah.
But in this one, she becomes much stronger thanks to Subaru. She earns the trust of all these villagers now, releases the sanctuary. Now she's confident, right? Yeah. Now she's ready to actually become a rival in the royal selection.
Yeah.
She's got her knight now too. And I mean, it's gonna be pretty dope if they decide to do an actual royal selection season.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest question is because the one candidate doesn't have her memory still. Mm-hmm. We don't know anything about the blonde one.
Which one? Felt?
Wasn't Felt?
She felt she was the thief who was blonde.
No, not her.
Okay, she's the one from season 1.
Yeah, I was going to talk about her, but I was talking about the one with the really angry knight.
Okay, the angry knight,
or like the standoffish knight.
Which one's the knight? The red hair girl is the one who has. Was it red hair?
I think it was red hair. Yeah.
Yeah, who has like the Goblin Slayer looking knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of cool though.
I know, but again, he looks like Goblin Slayer.
Subaru like tried to help her while she's in an alley, and then she fucking hated him. Like she was a bitch.
I mean, yeah. I'm just really curious about how those character dynamics are going to work with everything we've seen so far. So
yeah, I don't know. It'll just be like in my mind though, having like a royal selection season would just be cool because you have all these royal candidates. You have like their knights. Like, is there going to be some sort of tournament arc? Like what if there's like a knight tournament arc?
I mean,
you get a couple bonus points in the royal selection if your knight wins the fight. But the downside is, do you remember who Felt's knight is?
The guy who can't lose.
Yeah, literally the whatever the fuck they call him. Not Sword Saint. That's Mushoku Tensei. What do they call him?
Oh my god.
Sword Master. I don't know. Sword Grandmaster. Something along those lines.
I don't know. I just remember Garfield said like even he takes a day to do something or something like that. And it's like, why? He's still alive. You're not supposed to have idioms about him yet.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, good season. Excited for season 3. Let us know what you thought about this down below. Okay, next up, a big one because it is a series finale, not a season finale. Promised Neverland, episode number 11.
Doesn't have a name, but thank fuck it's over.
Title. Okay. I was almost gonna do research on this now that it's over. I probably will now because I want to know how the manga ended. Because it could not have ended like this. It could have ended like this, except for maybe they did an arc instead of what when this became a no talking montage.
Yeah, I mean, because the big thing was they made the changes they did because they wanted to change the ending.
Yeah.
And this is the ending we got.
Yep. Okay, we'll give the brief synopsis. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you've seen it, unless you just want to know why you shouldn't watch it. But yeah, obviously this season has had a lot of controversy because they decided to skip what is some people's favorite arcs with their favorite characters. And I think the pursuit of the author wanted a better ending because people were not big fans of the ending from the manga. Yeah. Obviously, going off the last episodes, this one they start off. I did like that the one guy just slit his own throat. I was a fan of that. He's got his ideals, he's got his own thoughts, and he just went down.
I mean, I feel like the 5-minute monologue where he was explaining like why he's an asshole, why we should care about him was unnecessary.
Also, come on, tell me that William Minerva did not look like Norman.
Oh God, no. Yeah, he looked like Norman.
Yeah, that sus. I mentioned in the one episode how like I was like, oh, maybe like they'll announce that the Peter Rattery guy was his name is Peter. He's like the father of Norman. But then when I'm watching this, I'm like, I don't know. That their whole family looks a lot like Norman.
I almost expected another Batman v Superman moment where he looks at Norman and goes, like, William.
Yeah, so they start by showing a little bit of his past, basically showing William Minerva, or whatever his name at that time, William Rattery. Was his name actually William?
I don't actually remember.
I don't know, but they start showing him as he slowly learns about like the past. They were apparently led to believe that the children that were being used farms were like the children of criminals and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but they're actually just like normal people.
Yeah, well, they're actually the descendants of people that fought alongside their ancestors.
Yeah, they were like good guys who worked hard to try and save it, and then their children got used. So he decides that's wrong, and that's where he starts his pursuit to save the children from the farms by leaving all this information and books and pens.
Yeah.
Obviously, Peter Rattery, his younger brother, who used to idolize him, doesn't like this so much. He's going against their rules, as like the gatekeepers, as the Rattery family.
Yeah, he idolizes the ideals of the gatekeepers for some reason.
So he gets his brother all sorts of killed. So, I mean, he feels bad about it, at least. He kind of cries about it, which is kind of nice. But he gets him killed anyways, just destroys him. And then quickly, as, Emma is offering him to come with him, like, do you kind of forget the past, forget what you've done? Like, it's time that we just kind of move on as humans and, like, live in the human world. He's like, nah, bro, and cuts his own throat. Real baller move, real alpha right there. And he's dead. And then, they all have kind of a talk. They go down in the basement to go to the human realm. And as they go in there, Emma, Ray, Norman, and like the experiments, they kind of all chill behind.
Yeah.
And then I get a flashback of them all discussing what's going to happen. Dawn and Guild are going with the kids to kind of lead them. They've now made up with Isabella, and her and the rest of the moms are going there too. And even the Vincent guy from the experiments is also going to that side.
Yeah.
And basically, Emma, Ray, Norman, and their crew is staying back to try and solve this world, to make like a new pact, one that doesn't involve having to give human children to make like their peace and that kind of stuff. So you're like, okay, like this is another season setup, 100%. Like we're like, okay, originally if they all go into the human realm, the show's over. But wait, what's this? Setting up a third season. They actually decide not to go all of them, and then when you get instead is a like 2-minute no talking montage showing the humans arrive in the human realm, which apparently is not what I thought it was going to be, which is just like our world.
Yeah,
like they're on like buses with smartphones and wearing normal clothes. I'm like, what the fuck?
I know. It's like they show up in New York or somewhere equivalent. Some people are just there to meet them because I guess they were expecting it.
Yeah.
And they just perfectly integrate into the society over the course of like a day.
Yeah, they're like going to school, they're like getting jobs maybe. It was kind of weird because I just pictured it was still just like a more like medieval human world or something that closely represented.
I mean, I was expecting something maybe Victorian.
Yeah, because we've seen like a camera and stuff, but even that was kind of like an old school camera. And
yeah, and a big part of it for me too is they show a bunch of characters who I don't know who they were.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of curious about too. I was wondering if they're supposed to be like the kids when they're older, but then later when we see the kids again when they arrive, they're like not that much older. They're a few years and they look a little different, but not so different that it could have been one of the characters I was thinking about.
Yeah, like there's one I saw they had long green hair. I'm like, oh, Gilda had a bit of a glow up, and
yeah,
but no, she looked pretty much the same when Emma
then you see them
back.
after. Yeah, so either it's basically like a no talking montage. You see Emma and Ray, and then they get a little bit older. You see them meeting up with some characters from the demon world. She's doing something weird with Mujika, holding hands and doing some sort of ceremony probably to do something.
Yeah,
then it's cutting in of the humans in the human world, just kind of growing old, doing regular people, not growing old, but getting older and doing regular people stuff like riding a bus and stuff. And and then it literally just ends with then. It's like a slightly older Phil, still the badass of the group, still like somehow secretly one of the main characters.
Yeah.
And he's just walking over a hill, probably sad because he hasn't seen Emma in a little while. And then Emma's just like, sup, we're here. She's like,
I think it was a meetup because I think like they showed multiple characters. Mm-hmm. But like, did Emma and Ray get older?
A little bit.
Because she looked the same.
Yeah, I mean, I think they all got a little bit taller. But yeah, I don't know. They were a little older. Probably was only a couple years. Obviously, Phil and them would get older quicker because they're younger, so their growth spurts would really take in.
Oh yeah. And I think they like established Mujika as like the queen of the demon world during that montage.
Probably, yeah.
Like they show like some random dude in a hat, and then he's like doing a ceremony with her and Sanju, and
and it looks like Emma and Mujika as a human and demon queen maybe made some sort of new deal where they don't have to send children there, but like they're both safe on their own sides. The thing is that I'm assuming in the manga this was like an arc or something that actually happened, and then this one they're like, no, people didn't like that, so let's just skip it. And that is literally after that Emma just says, we're home, and that's the show's over. That's the series finale.
Yeah, and like what happened? There was no explanation. There was no actual resolution to any of these problems.
That I don't know. I was really curious while I was watching. I was like, okay, like
there was an implied battle from one of the shots, but like you don't actually see anything happen. And
yeah, I'm curious as to like William and Nerva set up this whole thing like, oh, one day kids will come through here, so you guys need to come to this spot every single day. They check up on the gate, and if kids come through, allow that. Because wouldn't the people on the other side also be like kind of against the humans coming back over?
I mean, in theory, if it's like our world and like demons are just stories, like maybe they're just like, oh shit, there are actually people came through the gate. Cool, let's just get you guys some like beds and shit.
Maybe. Or what if they're like, oh, this is gonna break the pact, send those kids back in like right away? Like, I assuming like because like how the Ratry family is like the gatekeepers. I'm sure they have something on the other side as well. Someone with the same job.
I mean, yeah, I feel like demons live longer though, so maybe it was easier to enforce on the demon
Probably.
side.
These are questions that normally a show before its series finale would probably answer, but this show they just said fuck it. Like they're just like, we just want to end this.
There's a lot of problems. Like even just like the gate has like the owl on it for some reason, and thank God the pen opens the gate between worlds.
Yeah, but like when this thing was made like 1,000 years ago, or whatever it was, like you're talking the pen was still the thing then, like
yeah, or it was like the pen just made to look like a key that just happened to be round. And
maybe there's lots of questions, and I think the main thing here is that they just wanted to end the show.
Yeah, I think they realized they screwed up, and they were just like, we need to end this as quickly and as easily as possible.
Yeah, I don't know. This is one of those shows now where a lot of people out there watching this probably just wish that they would have ended it at season 1. Yeah, just like vague
honestly,
ending. The kids got away from the farm. Are they going to be able to survive in the outside world? I don't know. Let's just your own imagination kind of thing.
Honestly, I know I was joking about this before, but I honestly wish they had done the dream sequence thing where Emma woke up and they were like she was in the Sandy Pond arc.
Yeah, I mean that'd be kind of funny, but
I mean it couldn't be worse than what we got.
Yeah, it's true. I'm really curious if you guys are watching this. Now that the spoilers don't matter, if you're like a manga reader, let us know like what they actually changed. Let us know if they actually did have a whole arc where they solved this promise issue. Let us know. What kind of things they missed, what kind of things they added in, if the ending is actually different at all, like if they still end up in the exact same place. We just don't get to see all
if the ending is actually worse than what we got. Like what makes it worse? Like does everyone just die?
Maybe Phil dies. Maybe best boy Phil dies right at the end.
Maybe.
But yeah, I don't know. Let us know. Obviously, let us know what you thought about this season. It's probably got a lot of controversy over it, I assume. I haven't looked up anything yet. I'm probably going to take a look at the Reddit later just to see what people thought in general about the season and what they thought about the finale, because I'm kind of curious if it was like, what if we go online and it was just like super well received? People are like, oh yeah, finally, like they finally fixed season 2 with this finale.
I'm going to be very disappointed.
You're going to lose hope in humanity. We're going to go through the gate and go to the demon world if that happens, because humanity has lost its way. But yeah, just let us know what you think about it down below. There's not probably much to talk about. It was not a very good season, which is obvious, especially after season 1 being really, really good. And we just, both of us started and watched that in a couple days right before season 2 came out. So we were like really, really hyped when season 2 was coming out to continue. Yeah. Plus, I heard rumors about it being like the arc in the manga that it's going to be based off is going to be really, really good. And then, of course, they skipped it. So yeah, just let us know what you think down below. Don't be afraid to put in spoilers anymore. Honestly, I don't think it really matters anymore. The series is over. The manga's over. Put any spoiler you want as long as it's just about the Promised Neverland.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, another season finale, Quintessential Quintuplets, episode number 12.
Sisters War Part 2.
Listen, I'm sad to see it go.
I know you are.
It was just an enjoyable season. Obviously, I liked season 1 of Quintessential Quintuplets a lot. I think they changed studios between season 1 and season 2.
Yeah, it's a different art. They changed the art.
It just looks so good, though.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were complaining because they thinned the girls down a little bit, but
yeah, I don't know. But the facial expressions and everything were just we're so good.
They're on point.
We're so good. Okay, so obviously we're continuing from last week where we had the whole Sister Wars Part 1. They're on the school trip. Everything's kind of going wrong. Ichika's trying to get ahead of her sisters in like certain ways. Miku is trying to find the right time to confess to Futaro, but kind of got ruined by Yotsuba accidentally announcing it in front of him. What's her name? Itsuki is trying to convince Yotsuba to tell Futaro that she was the girl he originally met.
Yep.
everyone's kind of got their thing going on, and Yotsuba's just trying to make everyone happy, because that's kind of what she does.
Yeah.
And then Nino's just kind of doing Nino things. She doesn't really have anything special going on. She's just still trying to be a Nino. I don't know.
She still has no Nino breaks.
Yeah.
Right?
So and that's kind of where like the episode obviously ends. I think the last thing from the last episode was basically, as the audience, we learning that what's her name, Yotsuba, was the girl.
Yeah. Which actually didn't have a whole lot of bearing on the episode, did it?
It didn't. No, I was expecting to start with that, be like, oh, like big reveal. And
I mean, we did get to see a little bit more of that information this episode.
well, we did, and like one of the early things that we see is Miku's still kind of in her room.
Yeah.
So Ichika once again tosses on the Miku wig and goes out to talk to Futaro, and basically says like, oh, you know, like she tries to pretend to be Miku again, and Futaro doesn't buy it, right?
Yeah.
He like pulls off the wig kind of thing, and that's where she's like, oh, I was the girl that you met when you were a kid. And like he doesn't believe her. He's just like no. He's like, and I can't trust you anymore. It's classic dramatic raining out. She starts crying. He's basically like, fuck you, you're lying too much. I no longer trust you. Like, as you know, she's been pretending to try and be Miku this multiple times. He can't believe that she was actually the girl. And then, you know, I don't know if it's at the exact moment, but you know, she's like, oh, but like I did. And then, you know, we get the cool flashback finally.
Yeah, that was towards the end of the episode, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm just gonna we'll discuss it now just because it kind of goes in the Ichika lineup. But yeah, so it shows that now that we're the audience, we know it was Yotsuba. But we didn't really know 100% if all the sisters knew about this like boy, for instance.
Yeah.
We obviously knew that Itsuki knew because once she found out, she's been trying to slowly push Yotsuba into telling him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we see like the flashback of Yotsuba discussing with all the sisters, being like, "Oh, I met this like really really cool boy. We did all this." Earlier in the episode, I think is it Futaro is discussing like playing cards with the girl.
Yeah.
It happens before we see the scene. We see him discussing like playing cards with the girl kind of thing, and then when we see this flashback, you know, Yotsuba's like, oh, I met the really cool guy. He's actually still in the lobby right now. And then Ichika actually goes down, meets him. He thinks it's the same girl. Yeah. He plays the cards with her. And, you know, so it's kind of this sad moment where she did, in fact, meet him. She wasn't the girl, but like Futaro doesn't know that there was more than one.
Yeah, she was kind of a girl, and kind of makes you wonder if they're going to pull something like that.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, everyone met him that day in like a different time.
Yeah, they did something with
so
him.
That's like, it's actually all the girls he met that day. I was expecting that so hard as soon as like, kind of to begin with, I suppose. Yeah. But also as soon as they showed this, like Ichika met him this separate time, I was like, oh, every single time there's like a new girl arc in this, we're getting like they met him to.
It's the classic harem romance thing where every girl has some connection to the major event he's tied things to.
Yeah.
He just doesn't remember or doesn't know for some reason.
Yeah, and this it makes sense why he would not know because they're all identical. But yeah, so that kind of Ichika is very sad, and that kind of, you know, that got me feeling for her. Obviously, she's my best girl anyways. But I was like, you know, like she wasn't lying. She did meet. She was the girl he met that day.
Yeah.
Especially because earlier, as he mentions it, he deliberately mentions like the cards. Like that must have been like a special moment to him, you know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't even Yotsuba. Another big part of the episode, the focus on is, once again, unfortunately, what I hate is a lot of it's about Miku. In a sense, all the sisters are trying to make her feel better. So you know, originally Ichika proposes this idea where the next day is an elective. There's 5 different electives, and they don't know which one he's going to go on. So how about they all pick a different one, and then they'll go on those ones. But of course, Ichika actually does know what one he's going to go on.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, she's going to be a sneaky bitch again, like get ahead of her sisters. And I was down for it.
Sure you were.
I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I was down for it. But yeah, what she actually did is last second she swapped with Miku, making Miku be the one who goes with his group, because obviously Miku's having some issues right now. You know, she can't really like be in the same places, and she can't talk to him because she's still like embarrassed trying to figure out what she's supposed to do. But the confession thing,
yeah, she was in a bad position.
So yeah, Ichika forced her to have to go kind of confront this and resolve this. And then of course slowly we learn that every single one of the sisters have snuck out of their elective, and they're there watching to make sure it goes well. So you know, Miku kind of they have a break at one point, and I mean it's just every sister has like one thing to do. You know, at one point she falls in the pond, and by falls in the pond I mean Nino goes for a backwards hug on Futaro, who accidentally shoves her in the pond, and then she needs the underwear, so Itsuki's there, and like you know, she needs the bread she made, so Yotsuba like puts it there, like each part, eventually leading up to her finally like giving him the bread, and kind of, I was about to say kind of admitting that she loves him. She's like, oh, I love this, and I love this, and I love this. And then she points at him and being like, and I love you. And then he's like, oh, okay, she announced it. And then he's like, my sisters, who are like behind him, and they all pop out. And then he leaves, and they're like, oh, are you sure that this is like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, you've been waiting. You finally did it. Like, why take it back now? So I mean that was kind of funny. I enjoyed the scene.
Yeah, I mean, you have to admit that was a good Miku scene.
Listen, I don't hate Miku. I actually just more than Itsuki. I do not know the ending of the manga. I'll say that right now.
Yeah.
But I will actually be surprised if they do not put him with Miku. I haven't looked up any spoilers, and I feel like it's going to be hard not to when we get in season 3. Like before then, I feel like some people are going to be coming out and talking about it on like YouTube videos and stuff. So I've been trying to just ignore it.
Yeah.
But if I was a betting man, I would place like 60% Miku, 30% Itsuki, and everyone else somewhere really, really low.
See, I think Nino's just aggression puts her a little higher.
I would like hope I would be more okay with like him ending up with Nino than him ending up with Miku, to be honest.
Jesus.
I don't listen.
Can you imagine that conversation with if they have kids? It's like, how'd you meet mom? Oh, she drugged me.
The thing is though, it's that everyone has their own type of like personalities they like, and I hate the anime shy girl. It just drives me nuts.
See, I normally agree with you to a degree. I just like this character.
Yeah,
in no small part because of the scene we saw today.
I feel like a lot of people liked her early because of her design too, like with the headphones and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's...
Plus, you got to remember that a lot of anime fans, not to generalize, a lot of anime fans are not that social sometimes.
I mean, yeah.
So seeing the classic shy girl, like not antisocial kind of thing, they feel the connection with her. So I feel like early on, she was by far the favorite in season 1.
She easily was.
I feel like I was really hoping for more Yotsuba this season. Obviously, we got some important stuff and some really nice scenes.
I think Yotsuba's kind of a weird one to work with for a lot of... Just her personality type makes it hard to integrate her into a continual story arc.
She did not get her moment still this season where she kind of had to be like, you know what, fuck my sisters.
I mean,
I'm going to take what I want.
I mean, really, yeah.
I was really expecting that by the end with the whole, reveal that she's actually the girl from then. I was really hoping for her, like, I love my sisters, but I also have to do things that make me happy too.
Yeah, I think we're going to get more of that in season 3. That being said, this marks the end of my knowledge of the manga.
Perfect. Now you're going to be going in blind like all of us.
Yeah, the problem is I'm really tempted to go read it.
No. You got to wait. So obviously it was a good episode. We did finally, as 100% predicted, we find out that the stalker photographer, as we guessed the last episode, is one. I literally said, I'm like, I bet it's going to be just one of the friends that Futuro got to try and take a picture of the 5 of them. And you're like, yeah, it's either that or he's just been trying to take it himself kind of thing. And we thought about that, but we're like, oh, the placement might not work. Literally all it was such a red herring. It was just one of the friends trying to get a photo for the birthday, we assume.
Yeah.
And then the photo they ended up getting was just all of them just passed out. Some of them like open mouth drooling on each other.
I mean, for a family photo, that's not too bad.
Yeah, it was a very sweet episode. Obviously, the sisters kind of came back together because for the past like 4 or 5 episodes, there's been a little bit of beef. Some negativity going around based off all of them
they
having feelings and trying to get ahead and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a good episode. Not tons to say on it because it's still a slice of life, so there's not huge plot drama. The one thing I will say I was surprised about is that we didn't really get any more information regarding I thought there was going to be more about Yotsuba and him as like a kid. Like I thought there was going to be more about like trying to force her to reveal it or him actually learning about it or something along those lines to give like a cliffhanger. But they want to save that, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big focus in the 3rd season.
Now the big last part to mention is that we did see a flash forward. So we see like 2. So we see the wedding day again.
Well, we see a flash forward and a flash back.
No, they're both flash forwards. We see a flash forward and then a flashback to slightly flash forward.
Are you talking about the thing with the bell?
Yeah.
That's already happened.
Has it?
Yeah, they didn't show it, but that happened when they were at the inn.
Did it?
Yes. It wasn't in the episode, but it was in that time frame.
Oh, I just figured they're going to go back to the end next season.
I mean, as far as I know, no, but...
There's no way they wouldn't show that scene. How could they possibly ignore that if that's already happened?
I think it's specifically so they could like bait you with it here.
I don't know.
I think they moved it to the end of the season, so it'd be a good end of season like hook.
Maybe I'll have to go back and check. I'll have to check his outfit and check that with the previous outfits he was wearing in the.
I mean, she was even dressed as like the generic.
But they all do. They did that anyways, right? Because they all decided to be Itsuki each time to make it easy. But yeah, so they do a flash forward to him, pulling up like the veil on his wife as he's getting married. Obviously, not really any hints there. Could be any one of them.
Yeah, it had elements of all the characters, like a slight tinge of orange for.
Yeah, I did notice like the orange, and I was like, oh, Yotsuba confirmed.
Yeah, but the hair length was wrong, and just everything was just off enough that it was like.
Yeah, then going to a flashback of him at the bell that we've seen before, and one of them dashing up and giving him a smooch by the looks of it. as they fall over. So
Yeah.
but because the thing is, he said that's when I really start to like. That's when I noticed that this one was special.
You might be right, because again, this is where my knowledge ends.
Yeah, judging off based off his line, especially where he says like, "Oh, that's the time where I kind of knew this one was special." We clearly have not seen him acknowledge that one of them is special right now. So I think in season 3 they're going to go back, and that's going to be what it's going to be. But yeah, we'll have to wait to see. But yeah, that's pretty much everything for Quintessential Quintuplets. Let us know how you thought about this feeling as a whole. Let us know your favorite girl, obviously. Make it Ichika because she's the best. And yeah, we'll be seeing everybody for the confirmed season 3 when it comes out.
Yep.
Next up on the list, a big one as always, Kumo Desu, episode number 12.
My battle has only just begun.
So, I mean, that's a good tagline, considering I was just about to mention that this is one of the very few shows on this list that is continuing through spring. So, as far as I know, I don't even think they're doing a week break. So, we should have an episode to talk about next week as well. But yeah, it's going to be either 24 or 25 episode series or season. Yeah. So, we still have plenty more to talk about. So, in fact, the battle has only just begun. But almost the entire episode takes place of her fighting.
Araba.
Yeah, I was like, someone told me how to pronounce it last week in the comments. I don't know, Araba, something like that.
I couldn't pronounce it correctly based on my current knowledge, but I know it's Araba.
So the only downside, it was a really fun episode. Lots of cool like fighting. Obviously, it was like the entire episode was a big fight, which I think a lot of people were kind of predicting. Some people even thought it was going to be too long. They might have to break it off into the next episode. The downside of that, there's not tons to talk about unless you want to just go over the subtle intricacies of the battle. Most of it is just that, you know, she's confronting him. She knows that she's severely outmatched, but she has like planned for this and has done a lot of work. And then at one point, it really starts to go fucking south.
Oh god!
Like as he is intelligent enough to start, as she's like kind of winning and he's in the net, puts his skill points that he saved up into stuff to directly counter her. So he comes back with like flame on him, like certain resistances that she does, like dark magic resistance or black magic resistance that she's been hitting him with.
Black magic resistance, poison resistance. Flame resistance specifically for the flame cloak.
Yeah, probably like the years that he spent as a killing thing, just building up these skill points. He has now decided that, you know, the spider is worth spending them on as he's actually losing the fight. It's true. But yeah, that's at one point she says right in the beginning that her main point of this is to make him acknowledge that she's a threat.
Yeah.
And then we kind of learn that, you know, why she wanted him to acknowledge it. But yeah, most of the fight goes on. We see a couple different things. I felt like she was so close to dying like 6 separate times. Like all the shit that was happening. At one point she got like bit in like and she had to like, what was it bit? No, it was the earth thing. The earth like
yeah, she got skewered, so she's like, well, I guess I can't use webs anymore. She cuts off part of herself.
Yeah, she had to like cut off the second half of her body. I was like, man, how much fucking health does that take away? Like yeah, and then even falling after that, and it was just like a deadly battle. Probably the closest to death she's got. Like at one point she's like, I fought a fire dragon. Like you can't be more fire than the fire dragon. That's not fair. But yeah, obviously the whole battle kind of leads to the end where they both kind of hit the ground and Araba can no longer move, completely out of SP, and that's why she mentions there like the point of making him see her as a real threat wasn't really for any other reason other than because of her. I believe it's sloth for that one. The SP, HP, and MP all drain faster, so you know her main point was actually to make him run out of SP so he can no longer move. And right after that, she kind of goes up to like kill him, and then that's where she gets a little bit upset because he kind of gives up. He's like, "Oh, you've killed me! Like, good job," kind of thing. Like he's just resigning to his fate.
Yeah, he tries to go out. What's with his head held high? I guess.
Yeah. It's like a noble death. You know, it's like how they say like, you know, a swordsman never has any scars on his back, kind of thing. Because he takes all those shots right to the front. So he tried to go at like a noble death, and that like just pissed her right off. You know, she's like the classic. Will do anything to win the fight. You know, she's like, I don't care if it's like not noble or anything like that. She's been doing everything she has to survive. We learned that really early on when she decided not to run away anymore. Yeah. She's like, I'll just have to do whatever it takes in the fight to win. And then, you know, so then she starts kind of crying a little bit, getting very upset, just being like, oh, what was all this for kind of thing. Before she doesn't even really do anything to him. He just kind of like,
I think she used a cursed eye on him.
Okay. So then he just fades away. She levels up, I think, from like 20 to 25.
I think it was 24 to 20, like 25 to 29. It was a 4-level jump.
Okay. I was like, it was a little bit of a jump. Still no evolution yet.
Yeah, I think we're 1 level off of an evolution.
Because I'm betting this evolution is the one that's going to have human elements.
Probably. Do you think they're going to go straight human, or do you think they're going to do like the Rachne, like body with a spider ass? I
think they're going to either go straight human or the option of going from a spider to a human, like transforming back and forth.
Yeah.
That's mainly the part we do get to see the human side again.
Yeah, we don't see a whole lot of them this time, though, do we?
Yeah, no, it's you see at one point I think early in the episode you see Faye inside like her egg basically.
Yeah, the evolution process, which I guess takes a lot longer for a dragon.
Yeah, probably because it only takes Kumiko like a day each time or like a sleep.
Yeah, they don't really establish how long she takes. Like, we don't know if she's asleep for like 10 minutes or
That's
10
true.
days.
Since she has no element of time, we're seeing from other characters' perspective as she sleeps, and we're seeing like mentioning that he's been out of school for like a month kind of thing while she's been doing this, or like we're seeing time at the human element. But Kumiko could have been fucking in her sleep evolution for like 2 weeks and we just wouldn't know.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is we don't know what the time gap is here. So like while it might have been a month for Shun, it could have been 6 months for Kumiko.
Yeah.
Like we just know we have roughly a 15-year jump.
Do we really see anything important happen with Shun?
We just kind of see him take up the mantle and just like swear his oath of vengeance.
Yeah, we one of the big things, of course, once again, they toss another red herring at us in here. You see the Demon Lord again.
Yep.
And you see I'm assuming you noticed in the window there.
Yeah, the white arachne chick.
Yeah, so the red herring again is the Demon Lord is talking about like, remembering back when she fought, like being like earth dragons are like the most annoying dragons, and like I remember back when I fought like that earth dragon. And
yeah, well, she specifically says like thinking about earth dragons are probably like the nicest of them or like the most palatable or.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a classic. What they did before too, right? And I don't know what to believe because they're throwing so many red herrings at us.
I don't know at this point
because obviously in one of the last episodes they show the I think her name's just Shiro or White or whatever. She might have an official name throughout the manga light novel. I don't know.
I don't even think we're supposed to know that name.
Yeah, it's just white because she wears white, obviously.
Yeah.
But we see her use like a rod attack, and then the same episode they show Kumiko learning how to use like a rod attack.
Yeah.
Trying to symbolize that that could be her. Like, ooh, guys. And then in this one, once again, we see Kumiko fight the Earth Dragon, and then we see the Demon Lord later being like, remember when I fought that Earth Dragon? It's like, come on, show. Like, who are you trying to hint at here? Everyone?
I mean, I don't mind a little bit of subversion, a little bit of like making us go for the wrong catch, I guess.
I hope it's like the biggest twist ever. Like Kumiko evolves into a male guy who actually becomes Kuro, and then he uses his own time travel spell to go back and talk to her at one point. Just like throw us like huge loops. I think I want to write down some of the theories because some of them were just wacky. Like I think 2 episodes ago I mentioned that I'm like, no. Obviously, Administrator D is going to be Kumiko in the future. She's going to become even stronger than the Demon Lord to become an administrator.
I mean, she's trying to fix the world. That is a possible avenue.
Plus, the administrator is a wacky lady, you know?
Yeah, she speaks perfect Japanese.
That sounds like something that Kumiko would do. But yeah, so most of the episodes take them in a fight, so there's not tons to talk about story-wise. Obviously, we don't really have to worry about having like huge episodes because we still have whole half of a season. We're only halfway through. It seems crazy that it's been
it's going to be one of our main focal points next week.
12 weeks. Yeah, 12 weeks of watching this is crazy. But yeah, we still have another 12 weeks. So obviously if you're a fan of Kumodesu, let us know anything down below. As always, if you can, make sure you put a spoiler warning. You can also put what the spoilers are relating to, just so people know, because I know Kumiko is the big one. We have a lot of comments about it, and most people really, even if they do know, they like the fact that we go in blind. So I think most people are actually more like worried about us getting spoiled than them getting spoiled.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah, so let's just try your best to make sure that we know whether or not we read the spoiler. That's up to us, obviously, and up to anyone else who clicks it. But as long as you do your job and let people know that it's a spoiler, then you're being a nice person in the community.
Yeah,
and that's
a couple
matters.
minor things have slipped through. I think, like again, like the Kuro and Shiro things. Like I don't think we were supposed to know at this point. But
yeah, stuff like that to me, anyways. Knowing that the character is just named White after the fact that they have white clothes, and one's named Black after the fact that they wear a lot of black stuff.
If we found out one of their names was like Kumiko, that would be different.
Yeah, that would be a little bit of a spoiler. One other thing before we leave, we did see in this also was we saw Hugo.
We did. We saw him outside of Shun's castle.
Yeah, and he didn't really do very much. He just had a evil looking smile on his face.
I think shit's
armor.
going down next episode with him.
Yeah, probably because he was also with the what we're assuming is the demon that was with him before.
We also saw the teacher riding towards Shun, I believe.
Yep.
And we also got to, as Kumiko left, we also got to see Kumiko leaving the labyrinth.
Did we? We didn't get to see what was outside the labyrinth, though, did we?
Yeah, no. It just showed her running towards the light.
Yeah, we saw her running towards the light, which leaves the question is like, what do you think we're going to see when she gets out? Do you think the labyrinth's just like middle of the ocean? She comes out like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here?
Well, good thing I have some skill points. Let's invest in her swimming.
Yeah, that's what I was really expecting, like a post-credit scene. So I checked, and there was none because I was expecting like her to get out. And
I was actually surprised by that.
Gets out, and the entire island's just filled with like Earth dragons stronger than Araba, and be like, oh fuck, like.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I wouldn't think of that is because the humans fled from Kumiko that way.
I've seen a lot of people in the comments laughing at the fact that we said that once she gets out, everything's going to be easy from now on.
I know.
So I'm excited to see what in what element. Either maybe they're laughing because we're so correct, you know. Most likely they're laughing because we're wrong, though.
Yeah,
so I'm
there's going to be
excited
something
to see
scary.
that.
We also got to see some eyes light up at the end.
Some eyes light up.
I'm pretty sure it was
her
Kumiko's mom.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the question there is that Kumiko's just about to leave this labyrinth. Like, what could the mom possibly be doing?
Protective mother doesn't want her daughter leaving.
Maybe. Like, you're grounded, Kumiko. Get back down to the middle stratum.
I mean, I say that, but she ate like what, half of her own kids?
Yeah, well, survival of the fittest. She's like, only the strong kids may live. Yeah, I don't know. There's in my mind, I'm still kind of thinking that the Demon Lord is going to end up being her mother, who evolves past this like mother Terratector is and becomes that, and that might be why like in the future Kumiko might. I don't know. At this point, the amount they're hinting certain things is making me believe it's neither of them. So most of me wants to believe it's now neither the Demon Lord or Shiro. But like the eyes and everything on Shiro just.
Yeah, the fact that he's using eye-based rod attack really makes me think Kumiko.
The only reason I want to not believe it, even though all the evidence points to it, is because they want me to believe it. So that's like when you get so wrapped into like the theories, you're like, oh, I don't want to believe this theory because they know it's a theory. Like
the paranoia is strong here.
Yeah, that's where you start getting out of control. But luckily, we still have many episodes to learn more information about this world. So as always, we will be talking about Kumodesu next week, assuming it comes out, which I'm pretty sure it will.
I'll be so sad if it doesn't come out next week.
Yeah, especially because that's one of the only two things we have to talk about next week.
It's not even that. This is like a focal point of my Fridays at this point.
Yeah, especially because before Friday was a pretty big week or a pretty big day for anime.
It was.
But now it'll be the only thing.
I mean, honestly, this or Jujutsu was always my opener on Fridays. So
I think I always started with Jujutsu, but I'd always watch this on the Friday too, like right after.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be talking about it next week, of course. If you have any comments, theories, anything like that, leave them down below. Yeah, and we'll see you next week for that. Next up, the season finale of Jujutsu Kaisen, episode number 24.
Accomplices.
Okay, this episode was fucking sick. I'm gonna say it again.
Yeah.
Every time, like I mentioned this the other day to one of my friends we actually just got on Jujutsu Kaisen within the past like 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah, it took a long time to get him on.
Yeah,
this.
it was when they came in with the episode 19. We're like, hey, just watch it now. Like you're gonna like this. So he did it, but in something like Demon Slayer, obviously the whole Demon Slayer show was good. I'm not trying to downplay how good the show was. But there was the one episode that stood out, the episode 19 for like the animation. That's where everybody came in to watch it.
It was where everything came together. The animation, the music, the story. It all just came together in this one moment.
Yeah. But Jujutsu's had like multiples of those.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking, even like episode number 2 where Gojo Satoru fights Sukuna. That looked fantastic. Yeah. And then later you get one, Gojo like takes off the things. He's got like his domain.
Yeah, what was it? Infinite Void.
Yeah, like it's just so sick. And then you have like obviously the fight with Itadori and Todo.
Yeah.
Fighting, and then you get that continued. Like when that happened, we're like, whoa, this is like something special. And then it just continues next episode and gets even better.
Yeah, like even then we got like what Deep Purple from Gojo again, and like everything about Gojo just really
like
screams.
If he's on the screen, he's doing something good.
Oh god, yeah.
But yeah, even like when you see episode 19, you're like, oh, this fight with like Itadori and Todo, like fighting the nature spirit guy, like this is like the climax right here. But then the next episode it continues and gets better with Todo using his his clapping ability, and then like obviously we've seen more. Like we saw last episode Megumi fighting the special grade. Yeah. Which had some really, really cool elements, but it wasn't as flashy, I'd say, as like some of the other things. It wasn't a flashy
fight, but it's the type of fight I love those fights where it's just all about character development and like that one burst of growth.
Mm-hmm.
So even just seeing a domain pop out of one of the main cast is a huge development at this point, especially this early in the shonen.
Yeah, and then so obviously leaving that off, he's kind of Megumi finished his fight, and we're now seeing Kugisaki and Itadori do their little fight outside. And shit just pops off real fast. They both get like, I mean, once again, Itadori's just fucking OP.
I mean, God, yeah.
Like he's OP in the coolest way though. He's like not like I don't always believe he's gonna win every single fight no matter what because of circumstances, but like his natural abilities are just insane.
Yeah.
Like when they decide to run away and he just like grabs her and then fucking he's like, oh, we gotta go pretty fast though, and he just like dashes like faster.
Yeah, even she's is like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, she's like, what the fuck? Like he's just I mean, he is the vessel. But the thing is, he was.
Oh, there's something more to it. It's not just being.
Yeah, we see in like the first episode, he like beats the world record shot put like without even really trying, just for fun. He's just like so naturally talented, like so born for this, basically. But yeah, they flee as they think they get away. The 2 other special grades actually pop up, and they get both of them get poisoned. So
yeah, it isn't specifically poison. It's
it has technically like a poisonous element to it, which is what I think causes you to like. Be not like paralyzed, but like harder to move after.
Yeah, it's described as like a rot attack.
Yeah, well,
I know.
It's not degeneration.
It's decomposition.
Decomposition, that's what it is. Yes. So as they get poisoned, they're basically like, "Oh, you guys are gonna be fucked. In like 5 minutes, you're not gonna be able to do this. In 10 minutes, you guys will be dead. Y'all are doomed." Kind of thing.
Yeah, it's something like Nobura's gonna last 10 minutes. The boy's gonna last 15 to 20, and
and that's where Nobura does some voodoo shit, right?
Yeah.
Where she just like fucking pulls the nail out, stabs herself in the wrist with it.
Yeah.
And both of them feel pain. And she even mentions like, "Oh, I wasn't sure if it was gonna affect the other brother too, but like I'm glad it did." And then so like this was a bluff, right? I think is that what they reveal later in the episode, that this was actually a bluff? Because she basically mentions that like as this goes on, they're obviously like they're taking pain, but that they will also feel the effects of like the thing, and they'll like also like die, or because they mentioned that they won't die, but it's gonna be tons of pain until then.
It's basically just a pain infliction measure. It doesn't act with just blood. It's not strong enough to actually kill.
Yeah, but because of this, like, you know, he's like, "Oh, like, you know, it's just pain. We can deal with that. Like, they can't do anything else." But then Itadori just charges in. He's like, "How the hell can this guy move?" And that's where Kugisaki's like, "Oh, like because of, you know, Sukuna's poison resistance, he doesn't really feel like the slowing effects as much as he should."
Yeah, because they refer to Sukuna by something. I don't think they've said this since like the first episode. But they refer to him as like the king of poisons and curses.
Yeah.
Which is just an insane title to have in this world.
Yeah, they mentioned that early on, but I don't think they've mentioned it for a long time.
I think it was
since.
when he first popped the finger. That was the first time they mentioned it. And then,
but even then, like, she's like, "But you know what? Even if like he wasn't, though, it's fucking Itadori. Like, he would still be doing this. Like, he just goes apeshit." So he starts just absolutely kicking some ass. And then like they do like a dope ass switch.
Yeah.
At one point, so as like, because you know the brothers kind of weakened, as he charges in, Itadori and Kugisaki just do like a little fucking cool animation swap over. And then just like the animation on this part, like they're the part where they're like flashing back and forth as they're both attacking and everything like that was really, really cool. Plus the curses were actually really cool too. Like the fact is, as the one's like the one's brothers are basically about to die if he keeps up this like curse, right? So he even though he could like kill these people, he drops it just to try and save his brother, basically. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work that well for him.
I mean, you knew they weren't getting out of this.
No, yeah, but it's like, even we see from Itadori later as they fight them and they kill the younger brother, and then you know the older brother tries to flee at one point, and you're like, "Oh, he's going to be like a villain later." But then instead he just gets his arm still there, so she like voodoos that, and then Itadori just fucking takes him out, and then you know Itadori kills him, and then after that Itadori's like, you know, like he's like, "Oh, he wasn't a fan."
I didn't feel good about this. Like they had emotions, they had personalities.
Well, yeah, it's the same things before too. These are technically people, as we saw. They're people who were being fed like the wombs. So since they were humans, Itadori mentions like, "Oh, have you ever like, you know, killed, you know," and not like the curses before, but the actual like, you know, what do they call them, like cursed users or something? I don't know. They had a specific term for it.
Yeah, it's not a cursed user. It's
but Itadori's like, "Yeah, like I've done that before, and like, you know, I hate it." And she's Kugisaki's like, "Ah, okay, it's fine. I don't give a fuck." She's like, "You know, it's not that bad.
It's part of the job."
Yeah, but he's still like feeling. He's like, "Oh, I've done it like, you know, one time." He's like, "Well, you know, like more like 3 kind of thing," and he's kind of having a hard time with it. And yeah, it just kind of shows he's like, you know, like the one cried like when his brother died. So then they do obviously mention the third brother. Like they show the one part. It's like, "Oh, you know, you live for this brother, he'll live for him, and then I live for you," kind of thing. And then in the episode they do show the third brother, and he's actually just chilling with what
Mahito and the main curse user.
I don't remember if they told us his name. They might have mentioned it. Actually,
I think they said it.
I think it starts with a J. I'm almost positive, but he's chilling with them, obviously showing that he's going to be pretty important in like the next season, like the next arc probably, as he realizes that both of his brothers are dead.
Yeah,
and then even like, you know, Mahito looks up and he's like, "Oh, it was those fucking three first year students."
It wasn't even that. It was the curse user. He like, "Oh, I just got a report. They were killed by Nobura and Itadori."
Yeah, 3 first year Jujutsu Tech students.
Yeah.
And then because literally all 3 of the ones that they killed were special grade. So they go back, they get Megumi. You know, they pick him up, checking to make sure he's okay. They originally just get a little startled because he's just laying on the ground, dead looking.
Yeah.
But he gets up, he's got the finger, and he's like, "Itadori, hold on to this finger." He's like, "But don't eat it." Itadori's like, "You think I'm just like a dog or something and I'm just gonna eat it?"
And then eats it.
And then as he goes to hand it, just the little Sukuna mouth just spawns on the hand, just nom nom nom, and they're all just like looking like, "Oh god."
Yeah.
Pretty funny. So that's another finger he's got. So, you know, hopefully that powers him up. I don't know how much
it
more
should be a
powerful
power up. The matter of the question is Sukuna going to let him use the power? And like, why did Sukuna not try and fight for control there for a second?
Because I don't think Sukuna cares right now. I think he has whatever his plan is with the deal they made, and I think that's just what he's going to be living for in the meantime.
Yeah, just build up some power and just take over when he needs to get everything done.
And I can almost tell you, in my opinion, what that's going to be is it's going to be some time to fight Megumi. which is going to be deadly.
Yeah.
Because I think he just wants to, after that one fight, he wants to fight him, kind of thing. So I think that's going to be a pretty big thing when it happens. Like basically him taking over Sukuna, nothing Itadori can do because he made the deal, and him trying to kill Megumi.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some loophole or some bullshit where Itadori gets control back. But...
Probably. Yeah, something like that. But I think that'll be a pretty big arc when it happens. We've compared this a lot to. It has like Bleach elements, has like Naruto elements, stuff like that. The Naruto Sasuke fights, they were like some of the big selling points in the show. So they need some of those in this.
Yeah, this is definitely a melting point of a lot of the major points of shonen, isn't it? So.
Yeah, and then a lot of the end of the episode was just kind of seeing a lot of characters react to the fact that these three first-year students have all just killed special grades.
Yeah.
Because the only other character that we know in school who's done it is they mentioned at one point that Todo once killed a special grade or defeated a special grade, and that's kind of he's like so cool because of it. These first years, and he's not a first year, but he might have been when he did. I don't remember.
I think he was a first year when he did.
But yeah, all three of these first years at the same time just defeated special grades. So it's you're seeing different characters react to it, and then you're seeing the principal kind of freak out a little bit, being like, he kind of goes over like what first grade Jujutsu sorcerers are, right?
Yeah,
it's like the what does he say? He mentions like their pay is better. He's like the respect. He goes over like how like respected of a position is.
Yeah, even just coming from like the first half sorcerers, like one step below, it's like a huge jump in respect.
Yeah, so he's like going over it, but then he's like, and you're saying that you want me to do these students, and who? It's obviously those.
It was everyone except for the cursed speech user. I'm pretty sure.
Bullshit.
I feel like he's already a grade higher though.
Maybe, but yeah. So he implies that, which is pretty big deal. There's probably gonna be some sort of test for it.
Yeah,
we can only assume. And then
I feel like this is just a straight promotion thing.
It might be.
Like you've already killed a special grade. What can they test you on?
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to kill another one?
Your test is to kill Itadori.
We also do see the one lady receive a nice little amount of money from Satoru.
Yeah,
from Gojo.
I double checked it. I'm pretty sure it was $100,000.
For what though?
I'm pretty sure to make the recommendation.
Think so? And then as it leaves off, basically Itadori and them, they get like a call, basically being like, Megumi's like, oh, like Gojo wants us for like a special mission, and they're like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So is the special mission what leads into the? My question is the special mission going to be about the thing to move up to elevate to first?
I think
is that going to be the movie?
I think no.
I was going to say because we now got we mentioned this earlier, but we now got confirmed that in winter in Japan, I don't know when it'll come out here. It's going to be a Jujutsu movie.
Yeah, I don't know this is confirmed, but what I saw was that the movie is supposed to be about Gojo Satoru when he was younger.
Oh, that'd be dope. I'm down for that.
So we're not going to get the main crew.
That's fine.
But we're going to get more Gojo.
There's not a character in that show who's got to be more loved than him, right? So there's not a single person.
He's easily the most popular.
There's not going to be a single person who's mad about that. Seeing how he becomes so powerful, because we can see someone like Itadori, they're going to become really powerful, but we can understand why.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're going to get to see more about Itadori's past going forward.
Well, yeah, even like obviously we've already had these questions early on about his parents and like there being something specific.
Do you think his parents are going to come up in the movie?
It's possible. Like a couple little hints about that.
Like give some sort of explanation because the grandfather knew something and he just didn't tell him.
But even like then, the two characters that we see are definitely progressing really fast in their strength are Itadori and Megumi. And Megumi he's got this bloodline of one of like the three major houses, and Itadori is the vessel for Sukuna. How is Gojo Satoru so strong though? What made him so strong?
I don't know, but
he's not part of the three main families, and he's like the most powerful curse user there is.
Yeah, there's something going on there definitely, but you also have to remember Noboru's growing too, because in this episode we got to see her use Black Flash.
That's true,
which was a huge deal when Itadori did it.
Yeah, but even then, like they mentioned that there's quite an amount of people who can do it, but doing it consistently like multiple times, which she didn't do.
I think she did it twice.
I don't know. Her one move kind of looks a lot like Black Flash too, like just like the colors and stuff on it. So it's kind of hard to say, but I don't know. Either way, she's also growing well too. But like I definitely think that, not to call her a Sakura because she did a lot in this episode, but I don't think her growth's going to be as fast as the other two.
I think it's going to be a different type of growth because it's like Megumi got Domain. That was his major growth point. Even that was just him getting over a mental block. And Itadori is just all about just amping up power.
Yeah, power, speed, everything like that.
I don't think we're going to get any like fine techniques out of Itadori for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like if anything, the next Domain we'll see will be hers. and it's got to be some sort of spiky coffin, right? Like,
Oh god, yeah, this is gonna be an Iron Maiden or something like
yeah,
that.
I think that's we'll see. I don't think we're gonna get Itadori's domain. I think that's gonna be a big thing when it happens because, as we've guessed, it's probably just gonna be Sukuna's domain.
I'd like to see what they would do if they just gave him his own. But
That'd be cool. I mean, they probably will at some point, like way down the road, as maybe he like separates from Sukuna. Sukuna becomes like a bad guy, and Itadori has to become strong on his own without having Sukuna, and he gets his own domain to fight him. That's like seasons and seasons away, though, if it even happens.
That's got a lot of logistical problems too, because Itadori's curse energy is coming from Sukuna.
Yeah,
Unless he's gonna just act as a vessel for something else.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm excited to hear about the movie. It comes out. I'm pretty sure I saw that it was like winter in Japan, but that probably means it's not going to come out here for a while, seeing as the Demon Slayer movie is just coming out in April here.
I mean, there's a good chance we're going to get some sort of streaming service. Like I know when they did the Goblin Slayer movie when it came out, it had a stream time on Funimation. So
I hope so. That'd be really cool because I think a lot of people are going to want to see that like really soon, especially because we don't have a confirmed another season yet of it. Yeah. So in the meantime, that might be all that tides people over.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet we're probably going to get a season following it up. I don't think they're gonna let it sit too long.
Yeah, because it aired for winter, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that the movie comes out in winter, maybe lead into a winter anime as well, or maybe they take like a whole another year break and wait for the next winter. I don't know. I guess it depends. I'm really excited to see more of the movie, though. We'll probably discuss that when we eventually do get a trailer. But yeah, if you were a fan of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1, let us know down below. Let us know your favorite parts, your favorite characters, all that kind of stuff. If you're excited for the movie, excited for a second season when it gets announced. Okay. Next up on the list, a show we haven't talked about in a couple weeks, Horimiya, episode number 12.
Hitherto and forevermore.
So obviously, one of the main reasons we haven't really talked about Horimiya, I think one of the episodes that actually had a lot of story stuff in it, I hadn't seen by the time we recorded this, because I watch it with my wife, and she is just really slow on anime sometimes. I typically watch all my anime after 12, like after midnight, till 2 a.m., and she is way asleep by then.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of like the issue. But, and then since then, the episodes have been not very big, right? Like kind of fillery.
I mean, it's doing something that a lot of shows don't do, and actually showing proper growth in relationships.
It's a slice of life, and it's
hard to discuss.
I don't need massive character growth or like big drama every episode. You just see like the main cast and a couple of the side characters grow a little bit, and they get more personality to them as the show goes on. Yeah, because it just starts with pretty much just Miyamura and Hori, and then obviously you get introduced to like Toru gets a little more character than just like the rival character, and then like slowly all these other side characters have gotten more character. Yeah,
characters like Sengoku and Remy and Sakura getting
and then even like the what's his name, Iori, the green hair guy.
Oh yeah.
I think in the past couple episodes there's a little bit more about him and his like sister and stuff like that. Yoshikawa, the blonde girl, she's gotten a lot in the past few episodes. And yeah, this episode was kind of like a culmination. It showed multiple different parts of those. It showed both her and Toru. Yeah. A decent amount as she goes to Toru's house, and we learned that she obviously likes Toru.
Yeah.
And now in this episode we learned that he likes her.
Yeah.
But it seems like both of them are kind of like,
they've got that mental block of we're friends and we don't want to lose that.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's that. It's just like he's like okay. They're both okay with what's currently happening. They're both okay with like pretending they're dating right now instead of just committing to the actual dating thing. I'm sure we'll see that maybe elevate even in like the next episode, which is the season finale. Or maybe they'll just leave it and they're just okay with how they are, right? Like they're just in high school. It doesn't really need to progress any faster.
I mean, that is true, but I do want to say I don't know what the next episode's going to be, because even you said it yourself. This felt like a finale. Yeah,
especially at like the end.
Yeah. So I'm going to get into what I'm going to say about the next episode later. Let's just finish up this synopsis.
Yeah. So we see multiple parts with her, with Yoshikawa and Toru. At one point we see the guy, I don't remember his name. He has the crush on Yoshikawa though. The really handsome kid. Yeah. We see him interact with her sister, like running into her in town. The main Hori and Miyamura part is it's Christmas, and her entire family wants him to come over for Christmas. Yeah, like more than they want her to be there. Which to me, it actually seems like hyper realistic. Because if you've ever been in a relationship, a lot of times, like depending on how it works, you can establish like really good bonds with the person's family, and then if you ever break up, it's like, but I like your family so much, though.
I hate you. I love your brother.
I feel like that is actually something that
I'm still going to come over and play with him, but I'm just not going to talk to you.
I feel like that's actually realistically something that happens a lot. Like, parents get really attached to like whoever the boyfriend is. And in this, we see that they all just want him to come over for Christmas. And he's like, I can't. I work. I'm like delivering cakes.
His family owns a cake shop, and that's a huge thing in Japan on Christmas.
Yeah, so. I think we do also see KFC in this episode.
We do, actually.
Which is good, because obviously if you know much about Japan.
I don't know if it was KFC, if it was just
I don't think it was official, but we assume it was KFC, because if you know about Japan, The Christmas tradition is the KFC like family bucket kind of thing. That's like, I guess it's because Colonel Sanders looks like Santa Claus. That's like the go-to. KFC has somehow mastered marketing in Japan, just crushing on Christmas.
If I had to guess, it's probably because Christmas was kind of an imported holiday. They just kind of accepted it over time. And they're like, okay, well, Americans love fried chicken and Americans love Christmas. They must go together.
They must go. Plus, he looks like Santa Claus. It's no way that's a coincidence. But yeah, that's mainly their plot at the beginning. We'll get to kind of how they end at the end. We see the Iori, the green-haired guy, quick interaction with his sister. She's still studying because that's just kind of being like, oh yeah, remember when we talked about this like, the last episode? Like we're seeing a little bit more progression from that.
Yeah, she's still working away.
The one character I'm surprised we didn't see Sakura.
We saw her a little bit. She was talking to Sengoku.
Yeah, like we see Sengoku and we see his girlfriend. I don't remember her name.
Remy.
She's annoying. We see them, and it's just about him like not wanting to go over for Christmas because her dad just collects like a bunch of he's got like bugs everywhere, insects everywhere. I can't think of the word right now.
I know it's right on the tip of my tongue, but
I'm also trying to think of the word. If you know the word, let us know down below. Entomology sounds like the study of bugs, so that's probably right. But what is it called when they have like the taxidermy bugs?
Sad,
I guess. But he's scared of bugs and he doesn't want to go over. And that's like literally all their plot is. Like he has to be like, we see them talking and her like, oh, you got to go. Like it's time. He's just like, oh, I don't want to go. But yeah, nothing like huge character progression that wise.
Yeah, we did find out Sakura's Buddhist.
That's true. We did. Yeah, because she's like, I don't care about Christmas.
That's why she doesn't have a Christmas arc. So
yeah, poor her. No Christmas arc from being Buddhist. But yeah, a lot of the side stuff we're seeing is just all kind of like happy-go-lucky, fun little time stuff like that. The only big thing is obviously at the end.
Yeah.
So as Miyamura has to go back to work after he's already taken a full hour when he was only supposed to do a delivery.
I mean, they weren't going to let him go easy.
Yeah, Hori decides, she's like, oh, I'll walk him there kind of thing. And as they're walking, Hori starts thinking about the fact that like they're almost done school. Because they got the report cards. They have like a little bit left, and then they're kind of done.
Yeah, they have one term left, I think.
Yeah, so they're almost done, and then that makes her start to think about her future, right? As most people do when they're in a relationship and they're getting ready to finish secondary school. So that she thinks about that, she kind of yells out to him, being like, "Hey, I want to like continue dating you even after school ends." And then he's like thinking about it for a second, then he's just like, "Marry me," and like I know he's not like marry me as like a question mark. He's like.
It's a statement.
We're
gonna get married.
It's more like we should get married. It's not like he's not asking her to marry him right now, like getting engaged. He's more saying that like, hey, like when this is over, like we should get married. Like he's just being like, I'm committed kind of thing. Like they're both into this.
It's not an engagement ring. It's a promise ring.
Yeah, she doesn't like say, she's not like yes I will kind of thing or anything like that. They're both just acknowledging that they would like this relationship to continue. They
kind of do because she does like the whole like, I'll do what I can to make you happy shtick that they do. So
yeah, but we're not seeing the classic him get down on the knee, present a ring or anything like that.
I don't know if that's the thing in Japan.
I think that's a thing everywhere or most places, at least in some sort of element. But
I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of Japanese proposals.
Yeah, same. But yeah, I think it's more of just like they're obviously just both announcing that they are committed to this relationship even post secondary school. And that's mainly it. That's obviously like that's what I would have assumed would have been the finale, if only because they show a little bit of every character, and then they kind of have one kind of thing at the end being like, oh, the main couple.
Yeah, here's the resolution. Now
but we have an episode left.
Okay, so as you know, I've read the manga.
Yeah, I've read the manga.
If this is, I hate saying it.
Whenever anyone says that line, it's my go-to.
That's the reason I love that this got an anime is because I read this and it was one of my favorites. There's one spot, I don't remember if it's here or if it's after a later arc, that has a time skip.
Oh, damn.
And it's a major time skip.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of reasons they couldn't do a time skip right now. Like, if we have like an unresolved plot.
Let me rephrase. It's less of a time skip and more Boruto.
Like kids?
Like Next Generation.
Oh, there's no way they can do that yet. Okay, but does the next generation still follow the parents, though? The show's called Horimiya.
I mean, that's the thing I'm confused with, because I remember that it was like 70 or 80 chapters into the manga, I think.
Okay. My guess then will be that they still finish off this. I think that they still are going to have another season
I think
of finishing off the last term.
The reason I don't know if they're going to do it, though, is because it was kind of just spliced in at one point. And then they returned back to the current arc.
Well, that's weird. I don't know.
It was like a glimpse at the future after they propose, I think.
That's strange because that like I feel like that might take some people out of it being like, well, we already know where it's going. Like, do we really care now how it gets there?
I mean, you say that, but like we're watching Quintessential Quintuplets and we know he marries one of them.
That's true, but we don't the appeal, like the intrigue of which one does he marry. That was one of the main factors. Like, obviously, watching this that it's not really gonna be like they're obviously end game couple in Horimiya.
Yeah,
but like you still think that there's gonna be another season where we get like the beach episode. We maybe add in like some sort of rival that actually not like I don't know, doesn't actually turn one of them like away from them, but at least causes some sort of friction finally. Because each rival we've gotten have been more like jokes. Like hasn't not even for a second have you like debated whether or not that person can actually be a rival. But I'm thinking that next season we will still get like their final semester in high school, and then from there maybe they can decide if they want to do like the time skip kind of thing. That'd be my guess anyways, because I'm obviously it's not like a generic anime. It's done pretty well about being pretty different than other slice of lives, but I'm still expecting like a beach episode, and I would like to receive it. So
yeah, I feel like we're still gonna get that. I'm just confused. I just think that might be what they do with the last episode of this season.
That'll be interesting, and we will be finding out next week. That'd be a very strange finale if they do like a time skip forward to then in season 2 they go back and be like, I don't know. We'll find that out next week.
I don't know.
Obviously, if you're a fan of Horimiya, let us know down below. We had a couple people, I think like a week or two ago, asking us to do Horimiya, being like, hey, I think you guys missed an opportunity here by not talking about this week.
I mean, I've been pulling for it. It's just hard to argue against Quintessential Quintuplets with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the drama in Quintessential Quintuplets is a little bit more than Horimiya. As I said, Horimiya is a very relaxing slice of life to watch. There's not huge dramatic elements. There's not like big cliffhangers each episode. Each episode has like multiple arcs in itself, and it's very good character development.
It covers a lot of the manga material every time they do an episode. So it's
very entertaining. It's not like we didn't want to talk about it because we weren't watching it. We're watching it. It's just that you gotta sometimes be like, okay, how much? If we only have this much time, the Quintessential Quintuplets episode has like this big reveal about the childhood and all this kind of stuff, and then Horimiya just has a bunch of fun characters doing fun things. We got to kind of pick one. But as I said, next week we'll be talking about the finale again, and right now it's one of the only two things that we think we're going to be talking about. So should have tons of time to cover it. So hopefully we get like a big dramatic episode or something very strange, like a weird time skip to then time skip back.
I honestly don't know at this point. So
let us know if you have any theories. Once again, if you have any sort of spoiler stuff, if you've read the manga farther than Jimmy, just make sure you spoiler tag it so some people don't have to read it if they don't want to. And we will see next week what we get through Horimiya. Next up on the list, the final thing today, Attack on Titan, episode 75, which is the season 4 part 1 finale.
Yep. Episode name, Above and Below.
So the very first thing we should cover is the fact that for the last 4 weeks, we've been like, okay, there's no way they fit the content into this. So are they going to do what they did for season 3 and do a part 2? Are they going to do some sort of OVA specials? Are they going to do a movie? Those were the questions.
Yeah.
Upon the ending of the finale, they did say that come winter 2021, it could go into, I guess that might be also January in 2022. Yeah. We don't know if they're going to start early like they did kind of this year. But they announced that come winter, they're going to do the season 4 part 2.
Yeah, a little bit of a cop-out. I mean, I think everyone kind of expected something like this.
Yeah, especially since the season 3 also had the 2 separate parts. Yeah. So they've already established that it can be done. And the big thing, too, is that the manga for Attack on Titan does not end until April this year. So this is their only real way that they're going to be able to get all the content in to come up with the same ending.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if they're going to follow the manga that tightly, though.
I think they are. And I don't know. I just obviously they haven't announced being hey, we're following the manga exactly kind of thing. But I think that they're going to do it. I think that's one of the reasons they decided to go with the part 2 and take so long to do it because they need to get the ending right and everything like that, and they don't want to show it off before the manga.
True.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really upset about it. Obviously, this episode was there were some pretty dramatic parts of this episode. But it was more of a cliffhanger for the part 2.
Oh, it really was.
This one, it was a lot of setup. So nothing insane happened until pretty much the end. But yeah, I'm excited for the part 2. Obviously, that's going to be really, really big. It means anytime we have a guaranteed banger show to talk about in the future, I'm happy. Which just means next winter. Unfortunately, it's a full year away. But next winter, we have a guaranteed show to talk about weekly. That's going to be huge. Which is cool. But yeah, well, I guess we'll actually get into talking about this episode specifically. So yeah, we see kind of where we left off last time. We don't get a huge resolution with the Zeke stuff.
Nope.
There's kind of a weird question, though.
Yeah, it's not a resolution in any way, shape, or form. It's just a bunch of question marks splattered across the screen.
So yeah, we obviously saw that Zeke got all sorts blown up by his own hand, and as he's laying there, probably about to die, we see a Titan come over. And like, did you notice there was steam around the Titan?
Yeah.
Why? The only time you really see steam or anything like that on a Titan is once they have freshly turned from being a person.
Yep.
So this Titan comes over and rips open a hole in their belly and then places Zeke in it, and that's all we see.
Yeah. This begs a lot of different questions. Like when I first
like
saw
1,000 questions. I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
My first thought when I saw a Titan in the background, because you couldn't see the details, I'm like, oh, maybe Levi injected himself and he's going to take over the Beast Titan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that happened.
My first thought was that it was just like a random occurrence. Like one of the Titans didn't die that like Levi was fighting, just happens to crawl over, eat Zeke, and then it's like, oh, there's just going to be a random ass girl now is going to be the Beast Titan, like super random. But no, my questions are like, I want to go back and rewatch this because I feel like in my mind I remember that like having like steam or something around it, like being like, is this someone who's transformed?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be a transformation because there's steam when they're regenerating too.
Mm-hmm.
Or when they die. So
the thing is, though, that even if this was a person, let's say there's just a woman nearby, and Levi goes over, pokes them with some Titan serum, and then like pushes them in Zeke's direction. Like, okay, I'll just get this person to be. This is the person I have right now. I'm gonna get this person to be the Beast Titan. The whole question is, then that person would pick up Zeke and eat him, but this person did not pick up Zeke and eat him. They specifically like. I guess that's like a cheat code to not take over the Titan power. They like rip a hole in their stomach and put him in. Is that going to heal him? Is that going to?
I think it's some sort of. It might be something to do with the royal bloodline. It's just like some sort of like regeneration chamber, pseudo wound.
But where did this person come from?
I don't know.
And like, if they did come from somewhere, this is a person doing this as a plan. They must be a human Titan. They must be like one of the Titan shifters. They have to be.
I mean, not necessarily because Zeke was screaming just before he detonated the Thunder Spear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if someone was nearby who had consumed his spinal fluid?
Even then, he does not have control over them once they consume the spinal fluid.
Yeah, but we don't know if there's like some auto programming in these Titans that makes them protect
To be fair,
them.
one other hint you get later is when Peek's talking to Aaron later, she deliberately mentions that he has a power that none of them know about still. Yeah. And that even she's like, oh, I thought he would have at least told you, but even Aaron doesn't know about this. So we're unsure. Yeah. It's something to do with the spinal fluid or something, but they kind of hinted that later on the episode.
Was she talking about a different power, or was she talking about why his spinal fluid has that effect?
Well, it's kind of about why his spinal fluid has that kind of effect, but she did also mention there's like something he's not telling them.
Yeah, he's been lying since day one. The only time he told the truth was when he talked to Aaron.
Yeah, but that's why she's surprised that she's like, oh, I thought he would have at least told you kind of thing. And and then obviously a pretty big part of the episode is there's two parts. So Yelena finally goes down and meets with all the scouts and basically decides to tell them why they're doing this.
Yeah.
Which was just a strange scene. It starts off with one guy there, being super racist still. Being like, oh, you've like talking to Niccolo, being like, oh, you've fucking fallen for these devil scumbags, and you liked that stupid potato woman who was also a devil.
Yeah.
And they're all getting mad, and then fucking Yelena just shoots him in the head, and I'm like, you could call Yelena.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the highlight of the episode.
Obviously, she's supposed to be a bad guy, but like we've seen that she is obviously all on board for the euthanization plan. But she's not like a bad person per se. At least in that
she's misguided.
Yeah, maybe not even. I'm still kind of down for their plan.
I don't.
I'm down for their plan from their perspective, but obviously I
understand what they're going for, but there's obviously problems.
Yeah, and even in this episode they mentioned those problems. But as Yelena tells them, Armin's crying, and he's like, "Oh, like," he's like, "You guys are trying to do good." He's like, kind of. I don't remember his exact phrasing.
What you just said moved me, I think is what he...
Yeah, he's literally crying because basically he thought they had like some sort of evil plan. But even though like their plan
is genocide.
Is genocide. Basically the reason behind it is they want to save the world, not just this island. Because no matter what, as long as there are Eldians, there's going to constantly be Titans, which will lead to war and everyone's still hating them forever. And their ideal is most peaceful to do it is just to let people grow old and die out without having children kind of thing. But even like, Gene comes in, he's like, let me tell you all the things wrong with this plan. He's like, what's going to happen when we're all just old geezers with no kids and they come to attack us? And she's like, well, luckily Historia's got a baby. That baby should have a few years. Like, it's not going to be born for the 9 months. Maybe it has 80 years. So like we should be pretty good, like using
Yeah.
the rumbling until like we're just dead out. And Gene's like, there's so many things like that. You're like, this has to be like the stars aligned to kind of make this whole plan go. And he's kind of announcing that he knows there's like things wrong with it, and I'm sure they do too. But in their minds, they're like, they can't think of a better solution.
Yeah, I think she specifically says like nobody can deal uncertainties in this world.
Yeah,
so.
it's a war, right? There's no certainties in war. That's just a fact. They're trying to come up with in their mind, the most peaceful solution. Because even if like, they just use their Titan powers to crush all the other countries, like what's that really going to accomplish? They can't destroy every single country in the world. Even if they fight back against Marley and the rest of the world hates them at this point, it's just going to lead to more war.
Yeah.
Whoever has the Titans, eventually those Titans will die or get their powers moved on, and it'll keep going on forever.
Yeah.
So they're in their mind, the only option of just stopping this is by using their euthanization plan.
I mean,
so
I think they could very easily use the power like of the coordinate and the Royal Titan to just say no more Titans.
yeah, you'd think that, but there's a possibility that like Eren is considering that right now. Obviously,
Yeah.
I think that we are pretty confident that Zeke's plan is the euthanization by showing his background and stuff like that. But there's a possibility that Eren has a plan that he does not involve Zeke in, since he's the one who gets control over what happens. Maybe he's like, maybe I'll just do this so that there are no more Titans after. Maybe he's gonna do a different change in people that isn't what Zeke thinks, but using the same power, right? There's that possibility that Eren still is doing bad means to get to a good outcome.
Yeah.
He's gonna like make himself the the bad guy to achieve something, which is very possible that he'll do.
It is. I also do want to note euthanization is not what they're actually doing. It's sterilization.
Yeah, because euthanization
Would just be everyone dies.
yeah, they'd have to be born first. But yeah, so that's the plan. Obviously, the other big part of the episode is Eren goes in to meet with Gabby. And in the background, you just see like the girl. She comes in, like Peek comes in, and I'm like, "Hey, is that Peek?" And then like the next scene, starts stabbing the guy in the throat and being like, "I'm Peek, motherfuckers!" And she comes in, she puts a gun to Eren's head, is like, "I'm gonna blow your brains out if you move." And Eren's like, "No, you ain't." He's like, "You have to bring me back alive. You guys have to reclaim my founding Titan." She's like, "Yeah, you right, dog. Like I'm not gonna shoot you." And then she kind of explains to Gabby, being like, "Oh, I'm gonna be on your side now, Eren. Like, the Marleyans, no matter what happens, Gabby, we're never going to be free."
Yeah.
As we've seen, the Titan powers are becoming less relevant in the world, and as soon as we're no longer needed, they're not just going to let us live as Marleyans, they're just going to kill us all.
Yeah.
Which is truth, even if she doesn't necessarily mean it all. And then Eren's like, "Well, how can I trust you?" She's like, "Well, let's go up to the roof, and I'll point out where they are." And in my mind right there, I'm like, this is the stupidest fucking plan of all time. I'm like, you wouldn't need to go up to a roof to point out where they are. You could just be like, they're located on this street, or like they're in this area.
I know.
It's like, let me do the most old school method of pointing where enemies are. Oh, do you got a high place here so I can go point?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like,
I don't
okay,
think Eren bought it because he was like, he still had the cut going. He was still
Yeah.
ready to transform at any time.
I mean, even as they move up the stairs, it shows like Peek's kind of waving to people in the bottom.
Yeah,
you,
you see
literally
Galliard.
you literally see Porco just chilling in like the group.
Yeah.
So it's not, you're not surprised. You're like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So as Eren gets up to the roof, he's like, okay, like point out your enemies, or point out the enemies. And she's like, turns around, she's like, right there, and points at Eren. He's just like, he doesn't give a fuck. He's just like, okay. And
It's
then
like, was I supposed to be surprised by this?
yeah, then
Like-
she kind of like grabs Gabby and gets down as Porco like smashes through, bites off like I think Eren's feet.
Yeah, he gets his legs.
He
but
gets
he
his
doesn't-
legs, but then Eren's just like, okay, and just turns into a Titan. And then you kind of explain that Gabby's like, oh, so you're not a traitor? And she's like, no. She's like, well, what I meant about Marley is all true. She's like, but I'm not going to sell out my allies though. She's like, I'm not going to sell out my friends, like me, the other.
I trust the other.
Yeah,
Eldians.
she trusts her companions, right? And as that happens, we then see like the airships come in, which have like Reiner on them, and then starts with an M, the one leader, one of the commanders of the Marley.
I can't remember his. I'm horrible with that name.
Margrath, something along those lines. And they're kind of rolling in, and then even Eren looks up and looks at those blimps, and he's like, Reiner, like.
Yeah, I do like how he specifically challenges Reiner.
They just become mortal enemies at this point because they both understand each other. They have very similar stories in some senses. They're just being forced into this. And that's the end. So as soon as that happened, we're like, okay, obviously we're getting like another season. Like that's not the end of the show. So yeah, after that they announced it. And so what do you think about the season 4 part 1 so far?
A lot changed. I honestly wasn't expecting Eren to go full villain at this point.
Yeah, I still believe that he's doing it for a good reason though. I don't believe
I
that
know.
he has the same plan as Zeke right now.
Like they're doing a really good job selling it though. Like especially the whole Mikasa and beating the crap out of Armin thing. Considering he was supposed to be doing this to protect them.
It still does very much remind me of like the Zero from Code Geass, as we mentioned before. It seems very much like he's making himself enemy number one. He's got some sort of plan to do. And in the end, no matter what, since he's got to die anyways, it's like non-optional. There's not really a big deal in his mind about making himself some sort of sacrifice to solve the issues. Obviously, the big point about this is the setup now between the Marleyan forces already being there with all the Titans. So now we're going to get into an actual like war in the next part.
Now they did establish that this area has been evacuated.
Yeah.
Other than like some of the people who are marked and ready to transform. So
it's mainly going to be like now we still have this drama of like the Jaegerists, all this kind of stuff going on, like basically a civil war in a sense. While also there is this, now external war coming in. So
which I think that's what Pixis was going for with the whole like surrendering to the Jaegerists.
Yeah, because now they're here, they just got to be like kind of form together, and it's easier to do that while they're not complete enemies yet. But obviously we're going to the next season now, which is going to be very, very filled with battle. We haven't really got tons of action since they left Marley.
Yeah, it's been a lot more political drama, a lot more discussions.
Yeah, which is good because they're building up. So now in the season 4 part 2, they can take more episodes to have those fights, those really like dramatic, epic moments because they've set up all these characters now. Like we know what Yelena wants, we know what Zeke wants, we know what like each different like kind of group wants. We're led to believe we know what Eren wants, but I don't believe that yet. And I don't know. It's gonna be pretty good. Obviously, when we get there, Attack on Titan, as you mentioned earlier in this episode, it's like the thing on everyone's minds right now. It's what everyone's talking about. Obviously, this means we're going to have to go a whole nother year without the conclusion. But at least people who read the manga have that in, only like a month to tie them over for the ending. And then, we're obviously going to come back in winter and talk about it. So I like having that guaranteed big show to talk about in winter. Hopefully at that time we get some more things announced for too, obviously, other than just Attack on Titan. I wonder if it's going to be like this and every other big show is also going to come out in winter. Like we're going to get Jujutsu season 2. We're going to get, ReZero season 3.
Yeah.
Dr. Stone season 3. Like, I don't know. It'll be pretty crazy if we get all those big things again, or if it's just going to be a pretty slow season and then Attack on Titan.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they do that again because a lot of shows got overshadowed this season. So
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I think no matter what comes out, it's going to be overshadowed by Attack on Titan. That's just a fact. I can't think of a single anime like that would keep up with it. Even like next season, we have something like My Hero, which is big for a certain fan base, but it's not like Attack on Titan like worldwide big.
Oh god, no.
At least not in the same sense. But that's probably it for everything we have to talk about today. Obviously, we've mentioned this early on in the episode. Next week's going to be a little bit different because, as far as we know, only 2 of these shows air, and I don't know if we have anything new yet. So we're either going to decide to do the special this week and come out sometime midway through the week as to the spring anime we're going to do a vote on. Or we might limp that in with the next week's episode, discuss the 2 shows we have, and then do the special where we go through the website and read out the synopsises.
Yeah, based on what we know, we might have to lump them in just because...
Yeah, now once again, even before we come up with the synopsis video, feel free to start voting right now. If there's shows that you're going to want to watch us, like you already...
Yeah, just drop them in the comments.
Yeah, you already know. Comment down below being like, I vote for Shaman King for the one you guys are talking about. Like... that kind of stuff. Like just leave votes on any single video. It doesn't have to be that specific one. Yeah. When that episode comes out, though, I will have a pinned comment for people to go on and vote just to make it easier to go through and read them. And then, obviously when that happens, we'll have a little bit of a transition to the spring anime season pretty soon. That's going to be pretty exciting.
I'm hoping it's even just half the season this one was.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some, like, I don't think it has the names of the last season, like the huge names, but I think there's going to be some sleeper bangers, Yeah,
I think we're going to get a lot more one-offs and like originals as opposed to a lot of second seasons and continuations.
Yeah, this was the big second season, third season, fourth season kind of like winter. Yeah. I think this one's going to be more like first season shows coming out.
Yeah, I feel like spring usually has a lot more like openings to a series, while winter tends to be more of the continuation. So
yeah, but either way, we're excited. So as always, if you made it this far in the video, of course, like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we appreciate everything you guys do.
Comments can just be about the anime that you have theories or stuff on, or they can be about anything else. They can be about content you want to see us do in the future. They can be about pretty much anything you want, personal questions, anything like that. Any comment works, helps the algorithm. As I mentioned earlier, we just hit 400 subs. The next goal is the 1,000. Obviously, 1,000 we get partnered, which would be really, really cool because then we can do stuff like community posts and stuff like that to let people know when episodes are delayed or to do votes on instead of having just to go through comments.
Yeah.
So that's our big goal. So, if you can share this video anywhere, if you have a subreddit, you can post on a Discord, you can post on friends to just send it to. We'd really appreciate that as always. And I think other than that, guys, we will be seeing you next week for episode number 29. As always, I've been Cam.
And I've been Jimmy.
Take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And peace.
Peace.